Alrighty, it says that we're live. I'll take its word for it. Let me pull up the YouTube channel. Alrighty, looks like I'm correct. Let me pull this up so I can get the chat. Alrighty. Here. Oh, here. There you go. That should be better. Alrighty, now let's get this link out to minds.com, and then we'll get it to the links to the Discord servers. Hope that everybody's doing well. Had a few days off from this, that is. I did not have a few days off from life. That's the whole reason why I wasn't playing this. Got really buried with stuff at work. But hey, I finally got caught up, so now I can return to this. Okay, let's get that out. Okay, link is out. Now just get to the servers, then we can begin. Man, I'm listening to my own voice in this, and I hate that crackle and static. I really hope I get rid of it. I apologize, guys. Ooh, whoops. Here, I hope that helps fix things. I just realized that the machine was plugged into the Wi-Fi, was going on the Wi-Fi and not plugged in, so. Okay, hope that that's going to help the stream out a little bit, but not going to fix my voice, unfortunately. Okay, all the links are in the servers. Now, let me pull up the chat. Alrighty. Alright, and give me 2 seconds. I apologize about that. What ended up happening was the dog kept pawing at her bowl. I was like, why do you keep doing that? And I realized, oh yeah, 7 o'clock is feeding time. Alrighty. Alright, so let's get going now. Let me grab the controller. Okay. Alrighty, so where we left off, Giselle has been taken by Morgana. We tracked down 3 keys to open a door back up to the tower, but we found that pardon me. What ended up happening is that Michael came to the conclusion that he's not going to be able to face what's next unless he better understands Morgana. So he inquired Morgana to fill in the details as to her backstory, and that's what we've been reading so far. And what we find is that Morgana has been seriously abused by those in her past. She was raised to believe that she was quite the saint, and that she had supernatural abilities, and turns out that she really doesn't, or as far as we know. And this led to her being sold off after a village was drinking her blood quite a bit. And it got pretty crazy eventually. So, anyways, so now let's hopefully we can find and rescue Giselle. But in the meantime, though, we do need to learn more about Morgana. Alrighty, so also, I hope that I'm sounding a little better. Not that the quality of the mic, unfortunately, is still not the greatest. However, I was really pushing myself to get a single word out, even though I think I did an okay job. My throat was completely destroyed by the end of the last session. So, yeah, getting swamped at work probably ended up helping me a little bit, kept me from talking too much. Okay, let's continue. Morgana's tale. You're a damned witch wearing a saint's skin. Maybe if I had died then, I wouldn't have become the witch you know now. But that's all conjecture. Theorizing about what could have happened is an exercise in futility. But no, I did not die that day. Brought together by constant mistreatment, the Lord's slaves chose the moment to start the revolt. When he swung down his blade, someone bumped into him and it was knocked off its course. I didn't have the strength to get to my feet, so I simply watched the chaos unfold before my hazy eyes. It never even occurred to me that I should try to escape. At some point during the riot, a young man, one of his slaves, grabbed me by my bloody, limp arm and led me out of the Lord's manor. The young man brought me to a slum, a place where people banded together in their hardship, barely scraping together enough to eat every day, let alone pay the taxes demanded of them. By the time we had arrived at a small brothel located a ways into the slum, the fog was starting to clear from my mind. I knew where we were, and feeling the gazes of those scantily clothed women, I trembled. I don't know why I thought I saw an A. In a sense, that was possibly the most frightened I had ever been in my life, despite everything else I had been through. The idea that I had fallen so far I would have become a prostitute scared me to death. After all, I was a saint, and saints were supposed to retain their purity. Spreading my legs for any man who gave me enough coins would shatter my very identity. As all that was going through my mind, I probably shouted "no" in protest, because the slave gave me an exasperated look and told me he hadn't brought me here to become a prostitute. He said he knew someone here, someone I could trust, and that she would give me a room. I had trouble believing him, though. I couldn't trust the word of a prostitute, someone who had valued money more than her own body. It was all a trap, I was sure. One day, they would tell me I had to work. Nothing he said would convince me otherwise. Apparently sensing my mistrust, the slave gave me an apologetic frown and handed me a mirror, saying, "Even if I did, you couldn't get any work looking like that." I could not believe what I saw. That couldn't be my face. It had to be an illusion. There was no way. That was not the face of a saint. It couldn't be. It wasn't real. It was impossible. Patches of skin had fallen off my face, exposing the raw, red flesh beneath. It looked quite similar to what had been done to my arms and legs, except my face had never been cut before. Looking at myself in the mirror, even I doubted my own sainthood. The thing in my reflection was a hellish abomination. It was the twisted face of a witch. And although I was shocked by what I saw, at the same time, it answered several lingering questions. It explained why the Lord and his guests had panicked at the sight of me, and it also explained why he had said I was a witch wearing a saint's skin. Over the course of dozens of banquets I had participated in, my face must have been mutated, twisted into this ugly, sickening, monstrous thing. The sight of what I had become sapped the last bit of willpower from me. Not because I was particularly fond of my face or thought myself especially beautiful, but because it crushed me to see everything saintly about me crumble away. Test from God or otherwise, I didn't have the strength left to attempt to overcome it. Deciding I would rather be dead than struggle any longer, I begged the slave to kill me. Taking one's own life is a sin. If I did that, I would not be able to return to my father's side, and asked him why I had been put through such tribulation. But the young man refused. He said, completely missing my intention, that if I persevered, good fortune would eventually find me. He said if I lived on, I would eventually have a chance to get my payback. I had no such worldly concerns, though, but if no one would take my life, I had no choice but to live. I despised life at the brothel. The men who came to buy their services were disgusting buffoons, the kind of people who would think they could deceive God. And the women fawning over them were just as repulsive. That said, I had nowhere else to go, which meant I was forced to suffer this sickening place. But at the time a year or so had passed, my feelings about it had changed. The women of the brothel took good care of me, treating me like a sister. At first, it was just irritating. I was a saint, and how could a saint have prostitutes for sisters? Well, read your Bible. Jesus didn't hang out with, the most pristine of moral compasses. But over time, I got to know them better, grew to appreciate their circumstances and hardships. Despite barely having enough money to keep food on the table, whenever they had a little to spare, they would use it to purchase medicine, ointments to apply to my arms, legs, and face. And as a result of their generosity, my arms and legs started to look almost human, but nothing had any effect on my face. Occasionally, the slave would drop in to check on me. The other men thought me ghastly and wouldn't get anywhere near me, but he was different. And every time he visited, he would say, "One day, I'll show you the world." And to tell you the truth, I was beginning to grow attached to it all. My time at the brothel was probably, all things considered, one of the brighter chapters of my life. There, I was neither saint nor witch, but an ordinary human girl. For the first time, I felt like my life had meaning beyond my assumed divine purpose. I was beginning to feel kind of happy. And with each passing day, my intractable worldview was gaining a little flexibility. Perhaps I could perform miracles, but that didn't necessarily mean I had to be the daughter of God or a saint. Maybe I was just a regular person who happened to possess some unusual abilities. Ridiculous, isn't it? Despite coming to accept my humanity, I refused to let go of my miraculous powers. They were the last thing protecting what I thought of as myself. But to me at the time, it felt like a very dramatic change of heart. 3 years after the revolt at the Lord's Manor, I had my 12th birthday, for which they threw me a little dinner party. The women all pitched in to bake me treats, and the young slave man was there too. I was happy. I thought that if life could continue on like this, I was fine with not going back to be a saint. But for some reason, happiness always seems to slip away as soon as you've got your hands around it. No one sincerely wants to lose it, so why must they? I certainly didn't mind not being miserable. Let me tell you what happened that night. On the night of my birthday celebration, bandits attacked the brothel. Now, bandits were hardly a rarity at the time, so everyone always on the lookout. We never went out at night. They wouldn't stop at robbing you either. They were armed with blades and would frequently kill their targets if necessary. But cautious as we were helpless against a direct raid. The brothel fell into a panic, screams echoing in the night. The customers were carved up and left for dead. The women were bound and stowed away to be sold. My peaceful world shattered in an instant. And the next thing I knew, I was some slave trader's merchandise. I don't know what became of the prostitutes who cared for me, or the slave who brought me to them. I assume the women were sold and the young men slaughtered. But regardless, I found myself being rocked around in the back of a carriage once more. The carriage was packed so tight you could barely see the floor, and it smelled like death. Sweat, urine, feces, every foul odor imaginable compressed into a tiny space. There were both men and women there, nearly all of them muttering or groaning or weeping. Everyone was young, ripe to be put to work. It didn't take me long to realize what fate awaited these people and me. And when I did, I just sat there in silence. Then, for the first time, I cried. I was experiencing, I believe, a very human emotion. I was sad. Hurt that I had been taken away from the place where I was happy. From the women at the brothel and that young man. It crushed me. And no longer did I wonder why such things was happening to the holy daughter of God. Something about my tears must have seemed strange to him, because one man saw me and said, "Why are you crying?" He was a curious man. To start, he looked very different from anyone else. The color of his skin, the length of his nose, the shape of his eyes. Everything about him was new and unusual. Hesitantly, I replied, "I'm sad because I didn't get the chance to show my gratitude to people very dear to me." The man fell silent, looking as though he was deep in thought. I had no idea why he asked me that, but something about him made me uncomfortable, so I couldn't bring myself to ask. Several hours later, the man suddenly stood up. The guards had no patience for anyone stepping out of line, and they didn't look like they would hesitate to kill us either. So, unsurprisingly, one at the back of the carriage drew his sword and pointed it at the man. What was surprising, though, was what happened next. The man, his hands shackled like the rest of us, leapt for the guard, slamming his fists into his face and stealing his sword. The entire carriage was in shock. The guards were too stunned to effectively react, so they were quickly cut down. And because the one-man uprising had taken between cities, there was no one the slave traders could ask for help before they were slaughtered. In the blink of an eye, it was all over. And there was nothing human about what I had witnessed. If I had to describe it, I would say it was as though a wild beast had attacked. The man ruffled through the slave trader's clothes until he found the keys, which he brought to me, ordering I unshackle him. And so I did as he commanded. Once they had enough time to process what had happened, the would-be slaves applauded. Their wretched souls had been saved. And for a moment, I believe so too. When the man's hands were free, he rolled his shoulders a couple of times, made sure everything was in place, and then he began his massacre. Screams of agony filled the carriage as he ran his sword through the helpless men and women packed inside it. Blood and guts were splattered against every surface, and those who tried to escape did not get far before being mercilessly skewered. It was like a scene out of a nightmare. I was frozen in place, not out of fear, but because my mind had shut down. I couldn't make sense of what was happening, so my mind rejected it, and with my brain having given up, my body was no more than a lifeless puppet. In short order, all the slaves were dead, and I was sitting in the pool of blood, staring at the man. He pointed his blade at me, and with a little smirk, said, "Why didn't you run?" In turn, I asked them, "Why did you kill them?" The smile vanished from his face, and after a few moments of pondering, he replied, "Because I felt like it." Sound a little bit like Yukimasa. "And why haven't you killed me yet?" I asked. To which he gave a curt, "I don't know," then withdrew his blade and wandered off into the distance. And then I was alone, surrounded by corpses. I glanced down, and half of someone's face was looking back up at me. Yikes. Wrapped in absolute darkness, warm blood spills onto my cheeks, my hair, and my skin. Chunks of human flesh rain down on me. Make it stop! Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. There's no end to the deluge. The smell of death fills the air. I'm struck with a wave of nausea, so strong I can't hold back the contents of my stomach. But when my mouth opens to vomit, blood pours into it. Let go of me! Dead bodies grab at my ankles, dragging me down. To where? Hell? Or to the mountaintop of corpses? Now you understand that there was a time, if but briefly, when I was happy, when I felt human emotions. But I wish I never had. If I had remained confined in my Daughter of God shell, then I doubt I would have felt so much terror at the sight of death. I can't say anything in response. I can't form words. I feel what she experienced, the massacre she witnessed, the limp flesh piling up around her. Even more than twice her age, it's enough to drive me mad. The fact that a 12-year-old girl had to experience something so unspeakable devastates me. Tell me, my dear, do you pity me? Do you sympathize with me? If you feel bad for me, then you'll remain with me. You'll feel my pain and my despair with me. Won't you? The witch's cackle echoes through the pile of bodies. Hello, Edgy. Hope you're doing well. There's not a speck of light. An hideous death lingers everywhere. Helpless to resist, I'm dragged down into a deep, dark ocean. An ocean of blood. I'll take a sip of my tea. Now, on with the story. I was at a complete loss for some time after that. I didn't want to return to the city because I knew there was no one left who would take me in. There was only the Lord who had bound me and drained me of my blood. So I wandered the roads, no destination in mind, and nothing to defend myself but the clothes on my back. Frankly, I'm rather surprised I wasn't attacked by bandits. After walking for days without food or water, my mind was hazy and my exhaustion at a peak. In the distance, I saw a lake. So driven by my thirst, I turned my unsteady feet toward the water, not caring that it took me off the main road. And it turned out that was the correct choice, because there was a small cottage beside the lake. Smoke rising from the chimney, telling me it wasn't abandoned. Out of sheer desperation, I knocked on the door. No one answered. The door wasn't locked, so I slowly, hesitantly pushed it open. And beyond it, I found an old woman sitting dead in a chair. The woman was a witch. By trade, that is. It appeared she had a deep knowledge of medicinal herbs, using it to make an assortment of medicines. In her cabinets were dozens of small glass bottles containing dried, powdered leaves and crushed berries, among other things. On the fire was a cauldron, liquid bubbling inside. The woman looked as though she was asleep. Presumably, she had passed away of old age. There was no sign of bandits had been rooting through the cottage, and she had the look of absolute serenity on her face. Looking over at the woman's dead body, I didn't cross myself. I envied her. Dragging the woman's body by her feet, I dumped her into the lake. Do you think doing so makes me a bad person? Makes me unsaintly? Well, I didn't have anywhere else to go, and the owner of the cozy cottage was no longer of this world. There was no reason I couldn't fill the home in her stead, was there? I deserved to have somewhere I could feel comfortable, after everything I'd been through, didn't I? And so, I took up residence in the old witch's cottage, and remained there until my 16th year. By 16, a terrible cynicism had taken root in my heart. I had no trust for people. I shut them out, building high walls around myself. Well, that's understandable, given everything you've been through. After such a tumultuous, bloody childhood, it was all I could do to protect myself, to keep my young spirit from cracking. Okay, well, I just said that. Nevertheless, travelers would, on occasion, pay the old witch's cottage a visit, seeking her medicines. Whenever someone arrived, I would cautiously crack the door open, telling them they could trade whatever they wanted with food, and never showing my face. One day, a young man showed up at the cottage. My sister has fallen very ill, and she desperately needs medicine. He was very soft-spoken. There was a distinct kindness in his voice, which I thought unusual. Curious. What kind of person could he be? What did he look like? What expressions did he make as he spoke? To satisfy that curiosity, I snuck a peek at him through the crack in the door. He was a handsome young man with flowing flaxen hair. Oh, oh boy. Oh no. Is this Mel's grandfather by chance? And upon seeing me, he didn't flinch back in disgust. He smiled. According to him, his younger sister had fallen gravely ill, and though she had tried a number of remedies, she was still bedridden. The medicine I gave him, too, had no effect, but he persisted in his quest, visiting me again and again for new combinations to try. He wanted nothing more than to relieve even the slightest bit of his sister's suffering. I've never seen the word flaxen used so much in a single story before. Yeah, but I mean, I will give this story credit. Whoever translated it, I do appreciate that they're using just, this is not difficult, I would say, vocabulary, but there's a lot more uncommon vocabulary in here, and I do appreciate that. Because so much stuff is just way too brain dead and simple nowadays. You know, I do like the fact that there's been a few words in this game. 99.9% of them I have seen before, especially in the things that I used to read on the regular. But because, you know, life happens, you don't read as much as you used to, and your vocabulary slips too. So that's something I've enjoyed about reading this is, you know, every once in a while I'll come across a word, and it makes me break out the dictionary. I love it. Okay. And, moved by his dedication to his family, I too wanted to do anything I could do to help. For the first time in years, my world encompassed more than my small cottage. When the young man came, he would not only ask for medicine, but to go on walks with me. He volunteered to spend time with me, despite my horrifying appearance. It's not healthy to stay holed up inside all the time. You've got this beautiful lake right here. What do you say we take a little walk around the shoreline? He said with a smile, taking me by the hand. We spoke as we circled the lakeside. His voice was always soft and pleasant, like a ray of light shining through a crack in the walls. When I was with him, I felt like I could be an actual person, an ordinary girl. He talked about his sister more than anything. And whenever he did, he was at his brightest and most melancholy. The young man had been a member of a noble house, but disputes over who was the rightful heir had forced him and his sister out. Shortly after that, his sister had fallen ill and was now bedridden. I'll take anything at this point to make her better. I'll even take a miracle if I can get one. That word, muttered beneath his breath, sparked my memory. I was a saint. My blood had healing properties. I had no reason to hesitate. Someone needed my help, and who deserved it more than this kind-hearted young man's sister? So I decided to tell him what I really was. That my blood had miraculous powers, that it had saved people. That the moment I had been born, the drought plaguing my village had come to an end. That I had been known as a saint, the daughter of God. I told him everything. And he believed it all. He led me to his house, where a pale, sickly young girl lay in bed. She was a sweet little girl with the same flaxen hair as her brother, who looked like she would have been quite spirited if not for her ailment. It was touching to see the two siblings sitting there together, quietly holding each other. I would gladly give my blood for the two of them. And so I made a new cut on my arm, which had healed considerably thanks to the slave and the women of the brothel, and let the girl drink of my blood. Neither of them had any doubts about my sainthood, and because they believed, a miracle occurred. The flaxen-haired girl recovered enough to get out of her bed. I was extremely proud of myself. I felt like, for once, I had actually saved someone's life. The only issue was, she didn't make a complete recovery. For a few days after drinking my blood, she was in good health, but her condition quickly regressed. I was deeply perplexed by this. A miracle had undoubtedly taken place, but it was only temporary. Now, though, I believe I can explain what happened. Her recovery was nothing more than a placebo effect caused by her faith. But that's something I couldn't have known at the time. We were all three perplexed, and we were all three disheartened. Nevertheless, I was prepared to give her my blood as many times as needed. Whenever her condition worsened, the young man came to request more, and never once did I turn him away. On the contrary, I enthusiastically offered her my services. Over time, though, the hope in his eyes began to fade. He asked me on fewer walks, and he seemed hesitant to look me in the eye. I assumed it was out of discomfort, out of guilt, out of shame about asking for blood. But I don't think his concerns were for me, rather himself and his sister. As I mentioned earlier, blood was considered unclean in our time. Not only was I giving mine away, I was having his sister imbibe it. Looking at it that way, it would have hardly been a surprise for him, or anyone else, to think what I was doing was depraved. As time passed, the flaxen-haired young man seemed to grow more and more disturbed by me. That was what I got for opening up. That was what I got for letting his kind, warm light shine in on me. The moment things went bad, he pulled away. There were times I thought I shouldn't have done anything in the first place. But regardless, I held fast to my original decision. I would put myself on the line for them. No one else. Just them. Even if he was afraid of me or had no interest in seeing me, I would continue offering her my blood. And I was firm in my resolve. One day, though, I received a new visitor. The young man was still the only one I would show my face to, the only guest I had let into my walls. So, as usual, I took the man's request from behind the cottage door. But I could hardly believe my ears when he began speaking. "Are you the witch with the miracle blood? First, how did he know my blood had powers? Second, why had he called me a witch and not a saint? Third, why did he sound like the man who had slaughtered the slave carriage?" I told the man he had to leave, that I would not be opening the door for any reason. In response, he said, "I am in need of your blood. Could you not spare a little?" My blood was for the sick and the needy. I would never spare a drop for a murderer like him. And I told the man exactly that, demanding he leave. All I could think about was the pile of bodies, the fountain of blood. The man drenched in crimson, wearing a ghastly smirk. I trembled behind the door, fearing he may go on another such rampage. But instead, He gave me a simple, "As you say," and went on his way. I let out a deep sigh of relief, which is when I realized tears were rolling down both of my cheeks. Like an ordinary girl. 3 days later, the flaxen-haired boy showed up at my cottage. "I'm sorry for being so distant lately. I want to talk things over." Those 2 sentences were like a light shining from above. I wanted to talk to him too. I wanted to take a walk around the lake and listen to him talk about nothing. I wanted to experience the warmth of the world once more. And I wanted to tell him about the terrible man who had been there a few days earlier. About how scared I had been. I wanted him to tell me it would be all right. "I want to talk to you too," I said, opening the door without a second thought. The light of the sun was so bright, all I could make out was his silhouette. I couldn't see the look on his face or the look in his eyes. A gentle breeze blew past, and my mind froze. How could this be happening? What did it mean? Why? How? What was that man doing? Standing beside him. Why was he carrying a sword? Why was he coming into my house? And why did he swing it down, severing my arm? I was in a daze. I couldn't make sense of anything. I didn't want to. My left arm fell to the floor before I even knew what was happening, and my legs gave out. The pain, searing and unbearable, came a few moments later as I was laying in an ever-expanding pool of my own blood. I did something that I hadn't done before, that I had resisted doing no matter how much blood the Lord had stolen from me. I screamed. It was a hideous, visceral noise, a sound I had never thought a saint would make. The same ear-splitting howl the slaves had made as the man had butchered them. I writhed, I wailed, I wept, I crawled across the floor through my own blood. I begged and I begged and I begged for my life. The man walked over and picked up my severed arm, and then, shockingly, he tossed it to the kind-hearted young man, after which he said, "That's your share. Should last you long enough." Share? What did he mean by share? What was he talking about? Why had he given him my arm, and why had he taken it? Why was he talking like they knew each other? Why? Why? I had spared blood for him when he asked, didn't I? So why was he doing this? Was cutting off my arm and stealing it easier on his conscience than simply asking? You understand how I felt, don't you? You can put yourself in my shoes, can't you? The young man refused to look me in the eye. Holding my bloody arm in his trembling hands, he fled from the cottage as quickly as his legs would allow. The man then walked over and picked me up. I had neither the strength nor willpower to resist. Holding me in his arms, he began to speak, telling me things I didn't want to know, things I didn't want to hear, but he didn't care. "Nothing personal. I just need your blood. Without it, she'll lose her church." Don't take it personally? Tell me, is there anyone in this world who wouldn't feel a bit of spite after being put through such torture? How was I supposed to let that slide? No one's that much of a saint. My trust had been betrayed, and I was supposed to turn the other cheek? A man had barged into my home uninvited and cut off my arm, and I was supposed to smile and take it? Is there anyone, anywhere, who doesn't feel even the slightest bit of hatred ever? Is there anyone in this world who could just laugh and brush off this level of abuse? Tell me, is there? How could I not hold a grudge? How could I not despise them? How could I possibly forgive them? Tell me, please. Tell me, how could I? She needs the money. I need some way of getting enough money to keep her church running. So the Lord made me an offer. If I brought him the witch and the miracle blood, he would finance a whole new church for her. The Lord? Why him again? Why couldn't he leave me alone? After trying to kill me during one of his blood Sabbats, why was he after my blood once more? Had he really miraculous powers and he decided he wanted me back? You get to be the sacrifice. To keep her church from collapsing. To keep her world from collapsing. Sacrifice? Excuse me? What? And what's all this about keeping her church from collapsing? You murdered a carriage full of innocent people. Shit. And you're trying to protect the church? You? Are you out of your mind? Churches are where people go to commune with God. To speak with my Father. How dare you soil those sanctified grounds with your filthy hands, you beast? It's insulting, sacrilegious, repulsive. Just what do you think we are? Yeah, so don't take it personally, witch. I'm not a witch. I'm a saint. I was a saint. My blood exists to do the Lord's work, not to satisfy the avarice of men. Why is this happening to me? The man brought me back to the city, but instead of taking me to the Lord's manor, he brought me to a church on the city's outskirts. Though, to be honest, it looked more like an estate than a church. Let me get a sip of water. Much better. The church also served as a hospital, offering free cares to less fortunate children, the poor, and the infirm. That was when I learned why he had said they needed money. The owner of the church offered unconditional assistance to anyone who came. Even when food supplies ran low, they would ration their own in order to keep helping others. As a result, the church was perpetually on the verge of collapse. The church was run by a woman, something exceedingly rare for the time. There were no priests. All management was handled by a single nun, who everyone referred to as the Saintess. I was the saint. Why was this woman, who didn't have the ability to perform miracles, being worshipped like she did? Why did the people of the city idolize her? Oh, okay. The whole reincarnating thing that I was thinking about, like it could have been the people, like it could have been the folks from her past that become reincarnated. That might still be a possibility, but another thought just came to my head is she might just be having this grudge holding this grudge onto their descendants, because Seems like the whole flaxen-haired, like, descriptor, it seems a little specific, especially with who that is typically affiliated with in the story. So, now I'm curious, does this, is this a grudge held upon the entire bloodline? Or is it or does she wait for these, specific souls to be reincarnated? I don't know, I'm just guessing here, but it was just another thought that came to mind. Why did the people of the city idolize her? And why were their smiles all directed at her? Why was I not in her place? The man carried me to the top of the observation tower. It was there that I had my reunion with the Lord. I was to spill my blood for the people of the city, but also for the Lord's prophet. He was not offering free aid, but selling it as medicine. He claimed it was a miracle elixir, telling no one it was actually my blood. It was mixed with a beautiful red wine, and drinking it would cure you of any ailment. If they knew it was actually the blood of a witch, they would think it unclean. They would fear it. I remained imprisoned for a long, long time. In the beginning, the swordman guarded me. Though before long, the flaxen-haired young man showed up as well. Presumably, his one severed arm wasn't enough to keep his sister healthy for long. In listening to their conversations, I learned that, to ensure no one else could get in, the observation tower was sealed with 3 locks. The Lord, the swordsman, and the young man each held one of the keys. Jacopo, Yukimasa, and Mel. Are these 3 reincarnated or descendants? That's the part I didn't want to know. I was their secret, locked away in the tower for them to drain my blood away from wandering eyes. Time went on, and I grew progressively weaker. I lost the will to eat and the will to live. My only view from the tower was the clouds through a window high on the wall. Occasionally, a pigeon would fly in, sometimes a butterfly, and I would glare in envy as it fluttered around, free to come and go as it pleased. And soon, it was spring. Every spring, the church held a festival to pray for the coming year's harvest and the people's well-being. I could hear the bustle from far below through the window as everyone rushed to prepare. I heard the flaxen-haired girl's voice, who had regained her health drinking my blood. I heard her brother's voice, who had betrayed me. I heard the nun's voice, who played saint in my stead. I heard the barbaric swordman's voice, who had chopped off my arm. And I heard the Lord's voice, the root of all my suffering. I heard people praising the saintess, though I, the true saint, was locked in the tower. I heard people thanking the Lord for his generous donations and miracle medicine, though it had all come from me. Propped up on my suffering, they cheered and clinked glasses of my bloody wine. Those merry, peaceful, cheerful, spirited sinners' voices resounded in my tower. And at noon on the day of the festival, the church bell tolled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And with the 12th chime, I died. As the bell's last pealing faded into silence, the tower doors swung open. Standing on the other side of it were the 3 men. They must have wanted to drain a little more from me to use in the feast, but they arrived at the worst possible moment. The flaxen-haired young man was the first to express his consternation. Why? I never wanted her to die. Was she not eating? The Lord gave my corpse a casual glance and said stone-faced, "Seal the tower off. Understood? No one finds out about this." How can you be so calm? Do you understand what you've done? Pinning the blame on me. How nice it must be to be able to distort reality with panic. The swordsman, who had been silently observing the Lord and the boy conversing, interjected. You're just as guilty as any of us. Not only did they not mourn my death, they argued over whose fault it was. There was no regret, no remorse. The young man muttered, absent-mindedly, I never wanted her to die. What did his intentions matter, though? It was his betrayal that had ultimately tethered me to this mansion. But the fact they didn't grieve my death, and instead squabbled amongst themselves like filthy rats, was that final straw. How could I not despise them? I don't believe I actually had the power to perform miracles when I was alive. It was all faith, the illusion of belief. I was neither a saint nor a witch. The blood wine was only effective because people placed their faith in the other saintess. I was only ever human. But then, in that moment, an actual miracle occurred. My father bestowed upon me his power. Or perhaps it was the devil who lent me his strength. I was looking down upon my own dead body, my own wretched self. There was nothing beautiful about the pile of bones I had become. I could almost smell the rotting flesh. That was once a saint. I laughed at the thought. It was absurd, ridiculous, and infuriating. They would pay. Those who had cast me into this hell, who had mocked me, who had done this to me, who had made a witch out of me. Hatred coursed through me. Revulsion at everyone on these grounds still smiling. They would know just whose dead shoulders their little party was resting upon. If they wanted so badly to call me a witch, then a witch I would be. I would kill them. Every last one of them. Place a curse on their souls. And so I made my wish. Most people might consider it a curse, but to me, it was most certainly a wish. And my father, or maybe the devil, granted that wish. From the garden, there rose a scream. The flaxen-haired young man knew that voice better than anyone. He went deathly pale, darting down the spiral staircase until he reached a window. A young girl was on her knees, vomiting blood in the grass. The young man let out a yelp as he descended the remainder of the staircase. As soon as he reached the garden, he lifted the girl in his arms, but she had already perished. Realizing this, he cried to the heavens, saying the one thing he should have kept to himself. The witch killed her. The blood of the witch killed my sister. That wine you're drinking is no medicine. It's the blood of the witch. You're all drinking witch blood. Crushed by the loss of his own family, the young man picked up a silver fork and plunged it into his own throat, ending his life. Naturally, there was an uproar. Goblets of wine crashed against the earth in rapid succession, as the people holding them fell to the ground and vomited or convulsed. The nun was the first target of their outrage. What she had claimed to be medicine had turned out to be the blood of an unclean substance. The blood of a witch, no less. A servant of the church, a servant of the Lord, had given her followers blood to drink. And at this, the indignation surged uncontrollably. The people surrounded her, tying her up and throwing her to the ground. As they prepared to inflict righteous justice upon her, the swordsman soared out of the stairs and into the garden, plunging his blade into anyone standing near the nun. The cries of agony ringing through the church grounds were ear-splitting. It was no longer a place of God, but hell on earth. Hell built up by the hands of man. Hell painted red with the blood of their brothers. The people armed themselves with anything they could find and went after the man. As much of a beast as he may have been, he stood little chance against such numbers. It is the fate of the beast to be exterminated by those he terrorizes. And once he was gone, the nun had no one left to protect her. She was too confused by the frenzy. All that remained was an inextinguishable inferno. Hysteria and despair. Madness and outrage. And no outlet for it. It was a revolt that made the slaves' uprising to the Lord's manor look like a game. Eventually, their rage found a new target, the Lord. It was only natural, for he was the true villain. He was the one who had given money and the witch's blood to the church. He was the one who had profited off of it. And above all, people who resented those who stood above them. Particularly in times of unrest, the city resounded with the cries for the Lord's head. And he looked down upon it from the safety of the observation tower. He could do nothing but watch his domain burn as his domain burned. I can only imagine how painful that must have been. But before long, having seemingly made up his peace, he began descending the spiral staircase. One second. Something. Oh, no, not what I wanted. Yeah, I just wanted to see the artwork. Because it's got like a filter on top of it, so I wanted to see how it kind of looked. Yeah, she's certainly skin and bones at this point. He opened the door at the bottom, revealing himself to the people. But before the door had swung all the way open, before he had a chance to say his final words, someone ran a blade through his chest. With that, the raging furor mostly settled down, but it was hardly the end of the destruction. Mere days later, a plague befell the city. Dreadful black spots covered the flesh of the infected. They writhed in pain, screaming and vomiting blood. Ghastly howls echoed through those streets, as though the whole city had been possessed. It became a cursed land. In their diseased haze, the people muttered again and again, "We have been cursed by the witch." In less than a week, the entire city was dead. My body was left abandoned at the top of the observation tower. And as if to seal the curse away, in their final days, the people shuttered all the windows, wrapping the house in darkness. It's possible that was no miracle either. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I want to read that. Okay, sorry. You can easily explain what happened to them. Locked away for so long in that dirty tower, maybe I caught some kind of disease. And then, when the people drank my blood, they too were infected. Hardly anything out of the ordinary about that. The first to die, the girl, had already been ill. Her body merely chose the worst possible time to yield to her ailment. That was all that had happened. Indeed, it was nothing more than a fluke, an improbable stroke of luck, an unbelievably unfortunate accident for the city and those three men, and an indescribably unfortunate accident for myself. But I wish to believe it was a miracle. That even my blood didn't have healing properties, that even if my blood didn't have healing properties, and even if I wasn't a saint, my wish, my curse, was what caused that uprising. That was my miracle. Granted to me by God or the devil. I choose to believe that. And that my miracle took on its true form thereafter. My curse had brought death upon the three men. But for whatever reason, it wasn't enough. Yeah, my rancor was far from sated. They had died. So what? Death is but a transient agony. It's nothing compared to what I went through. So I made my next wish. I wished for their reconstruction. I wished eternal suffering on their souls. I wished to trap them in a never-ending cycle of pain and hatred. Okay, yep, here we go. This was my wish for the flaxen-haired young man. He treasured his dear sister, and he desired a quiet life. So I wished for him to have just that. Oh! Oh my God! Oh! Oh no! Oh, that's fucked. And I wished for his dearly beloved sister to love him more than anything in the world. For his world to be destroyed by love gone too far. This was my wish for the beast-like man. He was conscious of his tendency for violence, and he yearned to be more human. So I had his inner beast toned up just a little. I saw to it that he would never be human, so he would never have the peace he so desired. My wish for the Lord was more straightforward. He seemed to have a great affection for wealth and authority, so I ensured those were the only things he could ever have. Who needs love or friendship when you could be drowning in power? Once he had lost everything, his solitude would be his only companion. Wishes can come true. As long as you always hold fast, never stop wishing, never surrender, they can come true. Eternal suffering on all of their souls. An endless cycle of reconstruction, an unavoidable tragedy. Tell me, my dear, do you sympathize with me? Will you curse them with me? Will you take my hand? Not until I save. Oh no, Morgana's such a bitch. she's twisted, yeah, but at the same time, she's twisted, but it is understandable why she holds such a grudge against him. But this is also feeling very, very Japanese now. It seems like that, like having a lingering spirit, or not even a spirit, but like an emotion that just craves continuous retribution. Retribution is a little more on the positive side. Vengeance, I suppose. You know, that is a very Japanese thing. So it's like because a lot of it has felt pretty like it is melded with, it is coincided with European folklore pretty well up to now. But now I can definitely tell that this was, you know, written overseas. Okay. Will you take my hand and revile them with me? But now my question is, now we know who those three are. Mel, Jacopo, and Yukimasa. But we still don't know why Morgana has essentially tortured and possessed Michael for so long. That I'm still curious about. Like, there's still something that we don't know about Michael. The painting. And just... There's got to be something more that we haven't gotten to yet. Yeah, some Onryo territory, like Kayako from The Grudge. Yeah. The Kayako is probably the easiest one to bring up, but yeah. But I don't know, like, to me, though, the way that the Japanese do, like, you know, things like the Onryo, to me, that is far more terrifying, like, having something... Now, Morgana seems to actually be herself continuing, so she's acting like an Onryo, but I think that this is just a continuation of her... like, this is her soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it. I think that's still 100% her, but, like, in... like Japanese ghost stories and folklore and stuff, to me, it's so much more terrifying of a concept of, like, not a spirit or a continuation of somebody, but the lingering emotion of, like, hate or fear or disgust, something like that. I find that far more, like, horrifying, because there's no reasoning within an emotion. You know, there's no rationale. There's no, there's no personality behind one emotion, because it's a culmination of all our emotions that make us human. So to me, it's like that is like almost the near definition of what a monster is. So, but I think that Morgana, though she's got those very strong similarities, I think the being in and of itself seems a lot more straightforward, just ghost, or, you know, in this case, witch. Okay, let's continue. This time, when my body crashes into the tower stairs, I'm unable to make a noise. The obstruction is less mental and more physical. The excruciating pain. It's so intense I can't even eke out a scream. My vision is distorted. My mind thick with fog. I feel like I'll fall into a bottomless pit if I loosen my grip on my consciousness even slightly. Through the haze, I see my own severed left arm. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Don't tell me Michael's gonna die. Please, no! Reflected in a pool of blood, I see my face, large chunks of flesh peeled off. Look at you, trying to crawl up those stairs like a worm. How pathetic. It's like I'm looking at my old self. I can barely form a coherent thought. I can't lament her inhuman fate. Can't mourn for her. Or be shocked by the revelation about the 3 men and her history with them. Pain. It fills every corner of my mind. Every nook and cranny of my body. You've figured it out by now, haven't you, my dear? You'll never make it to me. It's not possible. But it's not your fault. It's not because you're weak. There's simply no one who can bear this pain. You're allowed to give up, to rest. There's nothing wrong with that. The pain, the crushing weight, it's miserable, isn't it? But all you have to do is turn back, and it'll all go away. The witch whispers her sweet temptations. You've put in a fine effort. There's no shame at all in throwing in the towel. Her voice is soft, gentle, pleasant, saccharine. I hope I said that right. Concede defeat. If I do, it'll all go away. The searing pain spreading from the stump of my left arm. The sensation of being perpetually drained of my blood. The miserable solitude of staring at a door that never opens. The laughter I can hear through the window. My miserable wailing and this maddening hatred. I can end it all. That's right. It'll all be over. You have the power to make it stop. Make it all stop. Nope! No! We are gonna rescue Giselle! I can't let that happen. No! I have to. Get her back at my side. I'll do anything to take her back. Even if it means I end up 1,000 tiny scraps of meat. I will not give up on her for any reason. You won't, will you? Oh, such beautiful resolve. Willing to sacrifice yourself to save the girl. Like a hero of legend. Or maybe a fairy tale prince. No. I'm no hero. And I am no prince. I am a human. An ordinary man. I don't have an extraordinary potential. I'm not courageous leader of a correct or charismatic general. I'm just a regular man in love with a regular woman who refuses to lose her. I don't need any other accomplishments, only that. That's all I need. Because I'm just a regular man. My one act of resistance. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how much you cut me up. nothing changes. What I have to do, I have to take her back and set her free from this mansion. Nothing else. And never will I back down on that. Get some tea. Arms or no. As long as I can move, I must push forward. I must make my way to the woman who waited for me for so long. Up. To the top of the tower. Forward. Ever forward. Ever onward. Dragging my bloody body, paying the pain no mind, I once more arrive at the top of the observation tower. I place my hand to the door, holding myself up with my lacerated right arm. Take a moment to catch my breath, then lift my head, gaze into the void, and shout her name. Morgana! I pity you. I truly do. You were a saint shackled with an unfathomable fate, and for that I am enraged. As I felt your pain, as I watched your life, I too felt a burning hatred for those three men. If you truly feel that way, then why can't you stay here with me? We're all dead anyway. We've reached our ends. Do you honestly think there's anything more for us? There isn't. The end is the end. So, what do you say, the three of us? Me, you, and Giselle. Torture the three of them and everyone they cared about. Make them suffer here for all eternity in this house. And that way, you and Giselle can be together forever too. That's not an option. Why not? Because hatred only brings you pain. Ha! Oh, that's brilliant! You spouting stupid platitudes at me? I can't believe my ears. Save your nonsense moralizing about hatred does you no good. I won't hear it. I'm doing just fine for myself, my dear. In fact, I've never been better. I feel wonderful. Did you think that would be enough to persuade me? Really? Ah, how disappointing. And here I thought you understood me. Morgana. Why don't you say what you really think? Go! Right on ahead! Hate them as much as you want. But keep me and Giselle out of it. Why don't you just say that? Is Morgana just lonely? Is that it? Does she not want to let go of the two people that perhaps had no attachment to her hatred? Both Michael and Giselle suffered quite a bit. Did Morgana perhaps find some commonality between the three of them? And then once the knights came to kill Giselle and Michael, Morgana saw that as an opportunity to keep both of them within arm's reach. I could guess that, but there is one thing though, and it's still the fact that I've got the sneaking suspicion that we just don't have all of Michael's story yet. The thing that's really, really, really driving me nuts, unless I've forgotten and it was explained earlier, I think a lot of it has to do with the painting that Michael had of the white-haired woman. Now let's see what Edgy's saying. No, not Michael. Yeah, I'm hoping he's not gonna die. I can't decide if it's supposed to be pronounced Michael or Michelle based on the spelling. Actually, somebody had left a comment on that in one of the past live streams. I actually think the correct pronunciation is Michelle. It's unfortunately though I've been calling him Michael the entire time, and but I've gotten a lot of words and names wrong this entire playthrough. So please don't hold that against me. I'm a fucking idiot. I called Jacopo for the longest time. But give me some slack there. I am not good with Italian at all. Anyways. I do feel bad, truthfully. For all the times we spent together, never once did I ask about your life. I was so focused on myself. And in the end, I pushed you away. That you did. You wanted to be with Giselle, so you pushed me out. I wish I had asked you sooner. It wouldn't have changed anything, though. One puny man knowing nothing of what I went through would hardly be enough to erase the loathing I bear. It would have turned out the same regardless. There was nothing you could have done for me. There was nothing. Still, I would like to apologize. Had I known what you carried in your heart, perhaps I could have chosen my words better. Instead of rejecting you, I could have chosen some other response. Given how Michael had grown close to Giselle once she opened up, I don't think he's bullshitting here. I think that Michael's a really, really good dude. But, you know, his years of isolation, you know, created a pretty big shell on him. I cannot remain in this house, nor can I allow her to stay either. So I would like to apologize for both my past actions and my present. Well, in that case, open the door, Michael. Oh, I got a bad feeling. I take another moment to catch my breath, and then I gather my strength into the hand on the door. Oh boy. Blood seeps from my fingertips, slowly trickling down the rough surface. It reminds me of my death. I'm coming for you. I push open the door, praying that it'll be the last. That beyond it lies light for Giselle. And if possible, then it might cast a bit of light on Morgana's heart as well. Aw. See, Michael's a really good dude. Michael really, like, when you think about it, he really has, like, it really is like the Beauty and the Beast story with him, isn't it? What? However, why am I in my bedroom? What I find behind the door is the last thing I expect. Huh? As she appears from the shadows of my chambers, I can't conceal my surprise. Oh, something's up here. Giselle? Is this another illusion, Morgana? No, it's not. I am the real me. Thank you for coming all the way here for me. She's thanking me. So why isn't she smiling? That was very kind and courageous of you, Michael. I'm deeply moved that you would have such compassion not only for her, but for someone like me. But do you know what else you are? You're a worm. What is it this time, Morgana? What do you say we pull back the curtain, my dear? What curtain? There's one detail that hasn't yet come to light. This isn't your first return to the mansion, is it? You've been back numerous times. Each time not remembering her, and each time hurting her even more. What are you talking about? What am I talking about? Oh, you know good and well, my dear. Or do you honestly believe that all the other pieces were in their rightful places, and you alone were some exception? I never. Tell me, how was it? Living in so many different eras, not knowing who you were, and playing with all the different men? No, you're out of your mind. You make it sound like I was... Not like, my dear. You are the white-haired girl. Enough. How could anyone possibly confuse me with her? To tell you the truth, I couldn't see you as anyone else. Your white hair, red eyes, porcelain skin, and your name. Tell me, what about you isn't the same? We're not the same person. I saw the letter. What? The letter that was covered in blood? The one you had hidden? No. And you didn't think that was worth mentioning? No, Giselle, I didn't mean... You're exactly right, my dear Giselle. He deceived you. He kept a very important secret from you. Despite showing up before you multiple times, he cast you aside again and again. No, that wasn't me. It wasn't... Oh my God! Did he actually know himself each time? Oh God, I hope not. It all makes sense now. Nothing he ever did was for me. Okay, I don't believe that. Giselle, I... Go on, Giselle. Tell him exactly how you feel. Michael? Don't. Please don't. Don't say it. Not that, please. I'm begging you. You're... Stop. Please don't, Giselle. Not actually. Please. Don't say it! A man at all, are you? Oh, ho, ho, ho. Wow, that's a twist. Uh, 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 you're disgusting. Uh, 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 you're the only one it could have been, my dear. The only one who could have been the white-haired girl. The next moment, my whole world comes tumbling down. I could have borne anything. Losing my arm, having my face torn off, any amount of pain, I could have handled it. For you, I could have done it. But this, hearing those words coming from your mouth, being rejected by you, that I cannot. Those words, they bury me alive, and you're the one person I never wanted to hear them from. So, now I need to know what's in that letter. Jesus. When I learned my father Antonin had passed, I wrote 2 letters. One to my... Oh, yeah. We did not get the other... Okay. One to my brother and one to my mother. It was the first time I had found the courage to face my mother, to open up to her. I wanted to show her who I was, convince her that I wasn't cursed, so I could be myself when I returned to the capital with Giselle. Dear Mother, there is something I wish to tell you, something that means a great deal to me. So I ask of you, please hear me out. And I ask of you, please accept it. Mother, I no longer bear any resentment for my present lot in life. Nevertheless, I would ask of you to concede one thing, that I was never cursed, that I was always your son, that I am Michael, not Michelle. I found someone whom I care for dearly, a woman, and I love her with all my heart. I'd like to spend the rest of my life with her. I do not wish for much, simply to have a quiet life with her, to go through our days together, man and woman. That is the one thing I want. Mother, I know you're aware that my body is no longer fit. Oh! Is it magic, or what happened here? I am a man. My heart is male, and I ask of you to please accept that. I have no grudge with you. In fact, I'm incredibly grateful to you for bringing me into this world. With love, your dear son. Shortly after sending that letter, I was killed. Jesus Christ, man! Oh, gee, damn. I'm dragged down, against my will, into the darkness. Beneath me spreads my own past. My door. The door I swore never to open. But despite all my efforts to resist, the door sucks me in. Into a world I never wanted to see again. A history I never wanted revealed. A past I never wanted anyone to see. Nonetheless, the door opens. We're still going on with the... Jeez. Holy shit, man. Okay. Okay, now we're getting to explaining things. Okay. Now, and that's what that painting was. Oh, okay. Now this is making sense. There were two things out of the ordinary about that baby. The first, its parents embraced, and the second, they wholly rejected. Although, it was some time before the baby's second peculiarity emerged, and until it finally did, no one was any the wiser. Not even the child itself. Its mother surely enjoyed the brief period of happiness before her child finally realized the truth. Blind to the fact that the moment it had let out its first cry, everything came crashing down. To this day, she still doesn't know the child she gave birth to, that she let loose upon the world. That she set loose a curse upon the world. A curse that turned angels into demons, humans into witches. Now I'm getting, the Ring vibes here. And if you know anything about Sadako, you might know what I'm talking about. Edgy, do you know what I'm referring to? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about though, right? You know the original the novel, right? What was one of the big things about Sadako? No, I'm talking about if you I won't spoil it, but okay, yeah. In the original novelization of The Ring, one of the things that makes Sadako an outcast is something that she's born with. Nah, I'll get into that later. My God, look. I don't like reading Antonin. I really don't, considering what he ends up doing. My God, look at that. She's beautiful, isn't she? Have you seen her laugh? Not yet, I haven't. At any rate, that color certainly is something else. God's gift to us. No, she's an angel sent from heaven. An angel. Ah, yes. I can see it now, Liddy. Her white hair and her almost translucent skin. It's beautiful. Huh? Why, she opened her eyes. Maybe she felt you nearby. Do you like your father more than me? Is that it, sweetheart? Gorgeous, aren't they? Such a deep, enchanting color. Like two little jewels. That they are. A magnificent shade of red. I've never seen anything like it. And this is our child. She's special. I can feel it. We have to take good care of her. She needs a name. One that's just as special as... Now, that's how it happened. Okay. That was her real name. Wow. Have you already chosen, Antonin? You were the one begging for a girl. You do it. Besides, I already had to rack my brain around for boys' names. Now it's your turn. Are you really going to let me? My, that's quite a lot of pressure. Name her after an angel, then. Oh, I like that. All right then. We'll call her Michelle, after the Archangel Michael. You'll grow up to be as beautiful as an angel, my Michelle. I've always wanted a little girl. Okay, but what I'm confused at is, did Michael like transform his body, or is he just, or she? I don't know. Is Michael? Is he just, or she is like just a very like frail male looking woman? Or did he transform his body? Like what happened here? Like, because it's just his design just doesn't, he doesn't look like very, very feminine. So I want to know like what's going on there. Because, oh yeah, because that's the other thing. Like when he would reconstruct as Michelle or the white-haired girl, there was no doubt that was female. So okay, yeah, I'm really curious here. With her snowy white hair, skin so pale you could see the veins beneath it, and her ruby red eyes, she was a very peculiar looking little girl, and her mother showered her with love. She truly believed her daughter was an angel sent from above, born as a human child. The blessed babe, born a girl, was given an angel's name, Michelle. Oh, I'm wondering if this is Morgana reading right now. I can't tell though. That was some. Oh no, we're Michael, me, or Michelle. Oh, this is gonna be confusing. Huh. Checkmate. Didier? Who are you? Oh, is that her brother? Gah! I see. That's what you did. Curses! I completely overlooked that. I thought you were advancing with your pawns, but that was all a diversion. You're too short-sighted, Didier. You need to look at the bigger picture. Sometimes it's a tactician and not the soldier holding the sword. You got me. You're quite good at this, Michelle. What inspired you to take such an aggressive strategy? I'm thinking back to Michael and Giselle playing chess. It was not inspiration. It was diversion. Oh, I'm sorry. Derivation. I'm sorry. Completely wrong word. Chess is in many ways similar to real war tactics. Ah, my military texts. You haven't read all of them, have you? I have nothing but time. Impressive. Even I haven't read all of the books in my room. You planning to join the order with that kind of knowledge? You jest. You're the one who's going to be a knight, Didier. That I am. War is the men's job after all. I want you to be there to welcome me home. George's or okay, I think I remember that name. George's. Didier! Oh, Didier! I'm in a bit of a bind, Oh, hello there, Michelle. I didn't know you were home, George's. You just got back, yeah? Oh, playing chess again, are you? Let's see. What do we have here? Get away from the board. Yikes! You got trounced, huh? And you call yourself her big brother. As if you're any better. That's not funny, Georges. I cannot approve of someone who kept up with the flow of battle becoming a knight. Given our family's rank, you would eventually be put in charge of other soldiers. What are you worried about me? No, I'm saying... I've been blessed with such a caring sister. But fear not. I have a guardian angel after all. Where's the logic in that? Sorry to interrupt your moment, but does nobody listen to me? No, don't pout. So, what seems to be the problem, Georges? Ah, yes, listen to this. The Royal Court is holding a swordsmanship show, and for some reason I was selected to participate. How unfortunate for you. I can already see you on the ground sobbing. Hey, now, that's just mean. Besides, my hands weren't meant to hold a sword. Look at these dainty fingers. They're covered in calluses. That was Michelle speaking, my bad. Dainty calluses. Tell me, why should they have an artist sword fight? Oh, he's one of these guys. That's the whole point, I would think. No need to get so worked up. No one's expecting you to win. Maybe not, but we do have a name to worry about. And you know what that means, don't you? That's a given. But I wanted to do it in style. I feel bad for your sword. Oh, don't be like that. Oh, come on. Time's a-wasting. To the courtyard we go. Just so you know, if I train, I'm going to train you right. All I want to know is how to look good. What is it, Michelle? May I watch? Fine with me, but you know you can't go outside. I'll be watching from the hall. I can open one of my windows facing the courtyard. Still, you need to be careful. You can't spend too much time in the sun. I know. I had 2 older brothers. The eldest, Didier, belonged to an order of knights that served the church. And below him was Georges, who served as a court artist. He was, in all likelihood, who would inherit the family estate, as knights were not formally allowed to own property. Nevertheless, the Bollinger family name was upheld by Didier. And there was me, the youngest, the only daughter. Physically, I was not in particularly good health. Well, the condition. Because of the color of my skin, I was hypersensitive to sunlight. I rarely left the estate. My world was contained entirely within these walls. And perhaps out of some sense of pity or compassion, my 2 brothers spent a good deal of time with me. Didier played chess with me, and Georges taught me how to draw. And among other things, they taught me how to read and write. For a girl, I was incredibly fortunate. The one thing I wasn't allowed to do, though, was hold a sword. While hardly anything unusual, it bothered me deeply. And it had for as long as I could remember. If I had been told I couldn't do it because I lacked the strength, I probably would have accepted it. But the reason given was not that I was weak, but that I was a girl. And with each passing year, that smoldering frustration in the back of my heart grew larger. Come on, put your back into it. Like I said, all I want is to put on a good show. Oh, you'll put on quite a show, unless you learn to swing the sword properly. Give me a break. Out in the garden, my 2 brothers traded swings bare-chested. All I could do, though, was observe from afar. And every time I found myself forced to watch, I felt a sharp pain, like a needle piercing my chest. A needle that seemed to be growing even thicker. My mother and my brothers loved me dearly, but that didn't change the fact that the outside world lay beyond my reach. I was trapped in the estate by my own body. At first, I thought that was the root of my pain. Sorry. But that answer seemed to contradict something inside me, something I couldn't explain, something I could ignore, even as a child. So I searched within myself, trying to find an explanation for the constantly swelling sensation of wrongness inside me. Day after day, I gazed into the cavern of my own heart, the lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue. My, now what are the two of them doing out there? Georges was asked to do a swordsmanship show at the royal court, so Didier's helping him. Swordsmanship? Oh, I just can't stand those shows. Blades are so dangerous. I can't watch people swinging them at each other. Why don't you come back to your room with me, Michelle? I would love to teach you how to sew. But, Mom, I want to watch them practice. Michelle? First of all, you need to watch how you speak, young lady. You do not call me Mom, you call me Mother. This is what happens when you spend so much time around boys. As your mother, I don't approve you playing chess or making art. Was chess, yes, but was art that big of a taboo for women? Medieval times, I guess, maybe. Woman has no need for such skills. They will only make you look insolent. But I want you to grow up to be a respectable woman. That is my job and my dream as your mother. Now come. I'd rather you looked at some fine embroidery with me than a couple of sweaty men. Yes, Mother. You are my little girl, after all. Spending time with my mother was agonizing. Was it because her world was so isolated? No, that wasn't it. Her gentle voice, the sweet scent of her perfume, the way she constantly told me how much she loved me, and her diatribes about how wonderful it was to be a girl. Everything she did put so much pressure on me. But above all, she loved to say, "You are my little girl, after all." And there was nothing strange about that at all. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw the daughter of a noble. That was who I was. So the only thing wrong was how I felt. But every time I faced with the reality of who I was, my heart wavered. I had no interest in learning to embroider. I didn't understand why that was necessary. I knew what purpose it served. Everything she taught me, I would need when I was... Everything she taught me, I would need when I was wed. Off to some noble boy, and it was my responsibility to learn those things. It didn't feel right, though. I couldn't even accept the fact that one day I would be married. It was but an ominous shadow lurking in my future. I would have preferred ravaging the books in Didier's room than having a conversation with my mother. Tales of heroes of old and dauntless soldiers. Military texts written by tacticians in the midst of war. Thinking about them set my heart aflutter. Made me think about my brother. He was training to be a knight. I envisioned armor flecked with rust. A longsword glimmering with the blood of savages. Soon I found myself in fantasies, imagining how a sword would feel in my hands. The sensation of the hilt beneath my fingers. Swinging it gallantly, like my brother. How heavy was it? How much muscle would I need to carry it? How much impact would I feel in my hands when I struck something? How restricted would my vision be wearing a helmet? How much did it weigh? How hot was it inside? I had no way of answering any of those questions, though. Really? You're practicing? And... Come on, dude. Kill me now. I have some cloth if you'd like to wipe yourself off. Oh yeah, thanks. I'm so dead. You were at it for a long time. Never known... Oh, I'm sorry. I've never known D to half-ass something once he gets started. Which, I guess, is what makes him knight material, but... Are you opposed to him becoming a knight? Well, you know, I'm kind of assuming he'd inherit the estate and handle taking care of everything. So it's like, why does he got to go and be some priest's whipping by? Whipping boy, not whipping by. Don't tell him I said that, though. He wants to fight for the greater good. I don't know. Despite the name, he wouldn't be doing much fighting himself. Anywho, someone as passionate as him might be able to make changes for the better. Changes? He knows what condition the Order is in. That's why he's joining. Figure he wants to whip him into shape, melt him down, and reforge the whole thing. So you might be able to change things. What are you muttering about, Michelle? Hey! Whoa, hold it! The pain I felt in my chest when I smelled the sweat emanating from George's body, when I looked at his slender but distinctly male build, I was convinced it was admiration. Did I want to become a knight too? Thank you, Adji. Were you saying that that you were that she may have been doing the Mulan thing? Yeah, you might you might be onto something. What? Oh wow. Was oh, so you looked up the Sadako thing? Yeah. Was Michael a hermaphrodite, albino and hermaphrodite? Oh, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it from this, not at all. Because the thing is, back then, like, pardon me, back then in medieval era, I'm not sure that, you know, folks would be accepting of having a kid born like that. I don't know. I don't know where this is gonna go. Like, does she, you know, is Michelle gonna play the Mulan thing, or does she do something to change her body? Like, yeah. Either way, yeah, they're not stepping away from the tragedy angle at any point in time. Holy shit. Oh, man. Once again, it's like you could just sum this game up with everything sucks. Good God, like every single character cannot catch a break. Jeez. Oh. So, like, yeah, right now I feel bad for Michael, Michelle, but I don't know why I should feel bad yet. Because also, like, that rejection from Giselle, holy shit. I don't know. Let's continue on, figure out what's going on. Maybe the discomfort I felt was because I wanted to be like him? Would it all go away if he were able to change the rules and I could join the Order as well? I was positive it would. I don't know if you can change orders like that then. Didier? Michelle, hold on. You can't come barging into my room unannounced. I'm trying to change. We need to talk. I said stop. You're a girl. You can't just walk in on a man as he's changing. I see no reason for you to be so self-conscious. No. You, even if it was your sister, stay the fuck out. Listen to me, Michelle. George tells me you're planning to overhaul the Order. He told you that? No, I hardly have such grand aspirations. Don't be coy. I believe you have what it takes to do it, Didier. What's gotten into you? You're unusually fiery today. So I wanted to ask you a favor. When you have enough influence in the Order, I would like you to make me a knight too. You... what? I'm tired of the way Mother treats me. Always saying I can't do this or that because I'm a girl. I want to learn how to swing a sword. I don't want to do embroidery. I don't care about jewelry or fancy clothing. Michelle, what's gotten into you? I'm so more interested in the world you live in, Didier. So please. Well, I'll be. I suppose we must have let ourselves spend too much time with you. Not you too. That's exactly what Mother said. First of all, Michelle, you don't have the strength to hold a sword. And I'll train until I do. And if that doesn't work, I still have my mind. You know how good and well I could... People are not chess pieces, Michelle. But Didier! But above all, you're missing the most important point. I will not for any reason become the kind of man who makes a woman take up a sword. Didier, this may seem normal to you, growing up with two brothers. But I want you to listen to me, Michelle. Men and women walk different paths. Men wield swords and fight against dangerous enemies. And they do so to protect the weak, women and children. I am here to protect you and your mother. You're no different than her. You don't treat me any different than her. Honestly, what's gotten into you, Michelle? Why wouldn't I treat you like a daughter of the Bollinger estate? Your brother and I, we never meant to make you think. Forget it. What? I'm sorry. I knew what I was asking for was foolish. Oh? But I thought you would understand how I feel. Even just a little bit. What was I expecting him to understand? Even I didn't understand the way... Even I didn't understand the things I felt. I wanted to know what had gotten into me far more than he did. What I had done was no better than throw a temper tantrum. Was I that desperate to become a knight? No. I just thought the key to the change in my heart laid down that road, but ultimately there was nothing. Assuming Didier had agreed, and assuming I did become a knight, it wouldn't do anything for the core problem. As I dashed from my brother's room, I snuck a peek at him. His face was filled with intense perplexity. And how could I blame him? I tried to push a dozen different ideals onto him at once. Filled myself with the vain hope that he would somehow be able to make sense of me when I couldn't even make sense of myself. And now, bubbling with unwarranted anger at being let down, I fled my own chambers. I can only imagine how frustrating this must have been for him. It was the spring of my 14th year. Heavy clouds filled the sky, blocking out the sun and giving the impression of late evening all throughout the day. I, for one, preferred it when the sun wasn't out. Not that sunlight would kill me. But if it was bright enough, the whole world was so white I could hardly see a thing. Which meant I could only go outside on days when the weather made most everyone else gloomy. As I was meandering through the courtyard, I spotted someone I had never seen before. Is this a new character, or have we seen somebody like this? I don't recall anybody looking like this. Also, I gotta say... excuse me. While I'm not a fan of the cards per se, I do like the designs behind the characters. I like the white popping against the yellow. A warm breeze blew past, sending up a swirl of flower petals. The girl's dress hung lightly over her frame, tracing her gentle curves. "Who are you?" I asked bluntly, and the girl twirled around, smiling. "Amy, okay. My apologies. You just have such a beautiful courtyard here. I let myself in for a little walk." Long chestnut hair flowed over round, feminine shoulders. It swayed slightly in the wind. The cloud of melancholy dissipated in the light of her smile. "You must be Michelle. You're just as pretty as I heard." "And you are?" "My name is Amy. It's a pleasure to finally meet you." Finally meet me? What was she talking about? As I stood there, baffled by the strange woman, she stepped toward me, kissing me softly on the cheek. "I'm thrilled to make your acquaintance, Michelle." Her voice was like someone pouring honey into my ear, electrifyingly sweet. "I'm George's fiance." How do you... George's... His name is George's... Oh, George's... We're just going to go George's. I'm not going to worry about the whole apostrophe thing. And it also stuck another needle into my chest. Okay. Now we're putting some pieces together. She was a noble girl by the name of Amy Jobert. Though only 15, she was the very image of refined She was the very image of refined. Oh, okay. Polished to a shine. So I was like, refined what? No one had told me my brother was to be married. It came out of nowhere. It seemed like I was the only one who didn't know. Something just came to my mind. Oh my God. Okay. Remember, what's one of the things that people said about Michael being locked in the tower, if I'm remembering this correctly? The one who made a deal with the devil. Now I'm starting to think. Now I'm starting to suspect what Michelle asked Morgana for, if that happened. Aha! But wait a minute. But Morgana was bound to the building, wasn't she? So, Oh, no. Because Morgana, when that revelation happened, Morgana said that he had been to that tower several times before. Okay. That's what I'm going with right now. Okay, now that's making a lot more sense now. It came out of nowhere, and it seemed I was the only one who didn't know. That evening, when the family gathered around the table for supper, Amy was there too, and they prepared an extravagant feast for the occasion. My father and Antonin looked so proud of his two boys. Didier soon to receive his assignment, and Georges soon to be wed. The banquet proceeded smoothly. Not a doubt in the air that we were a happy family. But my mind was elsewhere. I found myself unconsciously chasing Amy with my eyes, watching the way those slender fingers gripped her spoon, her full lips parting to allow a piece of fruit in, her deep red tongue visible for the briefest of moments. The way all the muscles in her face seemed to relax in bliss as sweet juices seeped into her mouth. The way she spoke, so soft and gentle, letting each sound hang in the air just briefly before intoning the next. She was distinctly feminine, in a different way than my mother. Apparently, Amy was going to be living at the Bollinger estate for some time. Mother was pleased to have another girl around. Or, more specifically, she was relieved to have someone other than my brothers for me to spend time with. I'd assumed I would hate being around another girl. Surely she wouldn't be able to play chess after all. But for some reason, I felt much less suffocated around her than my mother. Oh, not only that, if Michelle has a deeper attraction for, oh my gosh, we just learned this girl's name. Amy, yeah. And that also explains why they did not want, the Bollinger family did not want Michelle's identity getting out there. And then on top of that, if makes a pact with a witch to change sexes. Oh my god. And none of this is even confirmed yet. I just... Wow. That just was not my... that just was not even in my list of things to consider as a twist. Especially considering the painting. But now the painting makes absolute sense. Especially with it being torn up and such. One night, Amy's family and an array of nobles from both houses, social circles, assembled at the estate for a party. A din the likes of which I had never heard in my life filled the great hall. Everywhere I looked, there were people. Servants scrambled it every which way. Silverware clanged against dishes in an almost constant hum. Voices from all directions. I felt moderately ill. Hey, D, I feel like we're critically short on waiters. This doesn't look good for us. And who was it that went about inviting everyone who came across that again? Who are those people? They're artistes? They're, okay, we're gonna go with that. They're artistes like me. I met them at the court. Let's see. We always have some painters, composers, sculptors, troubadours, poets, writers, you name it. None of them have any connection to the Joberts or Bollingers. Sure they do. They're my friends. And you know, this is me at Amy's party. I'm sorry, this is my and Amy's party. You can play with your friends elsewhere. I hope you realize we have a reputation to uphold. Off in the corner, several men, presumably George's friends, gathered in a circle. They stood out from the other aristocrats, both in appearance and the air they gave off. The clothes they wore, the embroidery hidden beneath their jacket cuffs, their manner of speech, the way they held themselves. They were, simply put, a far cry from the hard-headed Didier's ideal party guests. Even watching them from afar, it was clear that my two brothers ran in very different crowds. The only reason headstrong Didier and free-spirited Georges were able to get along at all was because they were brothers. If they had been strangers, I doubt their paths would cross much, and if they did, those intersections would be quite rocky. Hey, come here, guys! George's shouting voice pulled my preoccupied mind back to the surface. He summoned his friends and led them to where I stood. Oh. Ooh, bad move, dude. Bad move. You stepped away from a sec. What happened? I've got a new theory. Well, not a new theory, but I'm wondering... So I don't know if you heard this, but remember what they would say about Michael? They called him the one who made the deal with the devil. I'm wondering if Michelle came across Morgana and made a deal with Morgana to change the sex. That would also explain why the Bollingers essentially wanted to isolate Michael. Wow. But I don't have any proof for that. I'm just wondering that could be the case. Yeah, it's... Okay, so I'm not the only one thinking that. Okay. I guess what's... But more than that, it's kind of the same thing with, like, when I was playing The First Door, and then Mel finds out that the girl he was crushing on, was unknowingly related to him. It's like I said it then, and it's like, I wouldn't recommend you go down that path, but it's like, at least, because they got along so well together, I would hope that they would, at least become friendly. I mean, it seems to be a waste of, of knowing somebody and then just cutting that off completely. So I'm hoping, like, if that is enough to make Giselle not, love Michael romantically anymore, then I really hope they could just find a way to just still be friends, because good God, that both of them, like, really saved each other quite a bit. At the same time, though, it's like, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, because that's the thing. It's like the ball's in Giselle's court into how she wants to go from there. And I don't know. I also did find it a little out of character for Giselle to just kind of, well, maybe not, because that is a huge thing to keep from somebody. I don't know. I can see Giselle, depending on, how the character is, I could see her wanting to make that decision once she discovered that truth. But I'm just kind of, I guess I'm kind of surprised that she just kind of, with everything they'd gone through, just drop it all right there. That part kind of surprises me. Anyways. But yeah, no, this is a bad idea, breaking all these guys to Michelle. What are you doing hiding in the corner, Michelle? I didn't even notice you. Allow me to introduce you to a few of my friends. Oh, no, Georges puts his hands on my shoulders, peeling me off the wall and standing me in front of his male friends. Socialization was the last thing in my mind. I searched for Didier, hoping he would come to my rescue, but he was off trading pleasantries, facing away from me. This is my baby sister, Michelle. Be nice. Georges, I don't... Graces, your skin is even more pale than I imagined. It's like something out of a fairy tale. And why have you never brought her with you to the court? She'd sure be a hit. How old are you? 12, mayhap? No, don't treat the lady like a child. I'll have you know she's 14. All the more reason she should be out there making friends. Whole court flip if they knew you had such a gorgeous sister, Georges. Don't be brute, my man. Our little angel is kept inside for personal reasons. Uh-oh. Sounds like I haven't been showing the lady her due respect. I got to even properly introduce myself. How rude indeed. The laughs grated on my nerves. And so did the way Georges speak as though I was his property. They looked like they were appraising me, which made me sick to my stomach. I'd been paying enough attention to notice the man who had asked if I was 12, and the rest of them too, examining me from head to toe in search... Oh, fuck. Yeah, I was afraid that was going to happen. I was indeed underdeveloped for 14. But what did that matter? I didn't want a body shaped like Amy's or my mother's. Now then, my lady, a proper greeting. The man got on one knee before me. For a split second, I didn't comprehend what he was doing. Go on, Michelle. He's waiting. He whispered into my ear. That was when it all came back to me. The traditional greeting performed between a man and a woman. Come on, Michelle. Don't tell me you forgot what to do. I knew. I knew the process. I had that knowledge. Mother had taught me the rules. showing me the procedure. I was to present my hands to the man for him to kiss. All I had to do was hold out my hand, but I was frozen. My body fought tooth and nail against the simple act. The thought of the man putting my lips on my skin sent a chill through me. Why? Why was this a traditional greeting? Why did I have to go through this? Michelle! That sound of George's frantic voice, my arm creaked up from my side. Then, I remembered that despite being his friends, they were still nobility. As wanton as the social interactions may have been, he still had a reputation to maintain. And I understood that. I also understood that, as their sister, it was my responsibility not to do anything that might tarnish either of my brothers' names. Also by tradition, the man wasn't supposed to actually kiss the woman's hand. The proper way was to do it was required he simply mimic the act rather than make real contact. Ugh. God, I can't read. That much I could handle. The man kneeling before me gave an uncomfortable chuckle at my reluctance, shrugged, and reverently took my hand in his. And then he pressed his lips firmly against me. Oh. There was a vaguely warm sensation on the back of my hand for the briefest moment. What do you... Reflexively, I smacked the man's hand away. George's eyes went wide in horror, and the man gave another playful shrug. I was merely offering you a greeting, my lady. Or is that even that a new experience to you? Your innocence is truly precious. I don't like that. I was half a second away from throwing a barrage of insults, but I bit my tongue and stomped off instead. What? Michelle? Hey, come back, Michelle! I spent all that time convincing myself I couldn't humiliate my brothers, but now I wouldn't hear a word of it. I had drawn a fair bit of attention, and other people tried to stop me too, but I brushed them all off, marching my way out of the great hall. Yeah, this is going to come to a head sooner than later, I'd say. I feel so dirty. I gotta, what I mean by it is, like, I feel like this is gonna escalate super quick. Because this kind of stuff, it just, for this time period, I just don't see this being tolerated very long at all. You call that a greeting? No, that was no greeting. That was... I'll be taking that. I say, practically swiping a glass of water off a passing waiter's tray. With it, I washed my hand by the window facing the courtyard. Courtyard, oh my god! But no matter how much water I poured over it, I couldn't erase the sickening sensation of his mouth on my hand. So I rubbed it with my sleeve until my skin was bright red. I wanted to feel something else, anything else, even pain. Think before you act, Georges. What are you doing inviting people like that into our home? Finding out that the guy you love isn't actually a guy and they didn't tell you, yeah, that would cause you to freak out. Yeah. No, that's what I agree that, no, that, like, that's the thing. It's like, it makes sense to have that reaction. It just feels like it feels like Giselle, I guess, wouldn't be, like, I don't know. It seems like Giselle would be, like, more in shock. And maybe she has that same kind of reaction, but, I don't know. Just something, I guess it's just a little surprising to me, just because Giselle just seemed to be just so kind-hearted and not necessarily forgiving, but it's like she never really seemed to, she kind of forced herself to not hold grudges and such. However, okay, no, I just realized something that I didn't think about before. Michael was the person that she relied on to help mend herself. And she probably trusted that everything that both of them had was not secret. I feel like an idiot for not realizing that, but no, now that's making more sense. Okay, now I get it. But holy shit, now what does that mean for Giselle moving forward, though? Wow. That's going to be crazy. But I think that we've got more to learn about Michael/Michelle here. I was angry, and I had every right to be. He had not performed the proper greeting. Even in jest, he had no business actually putting his lips on my hand. It was not acceptable behavior for an aristocrat. He was a guest. He should have been ashamed. Was I angry that he had been disrespectful? No, that wasn't the reason. It wasn't very nice of you, running off like that. No, stranger danger. At the sound of his voice, I couldn't turn back. I felt a sickening warmth almost directly against my back. The man from the great hall grabbed me by the wrists, spun me around, and pressed me. No. Oof, yeah. The bitter scent of wine wafted from above. What the hell are you doing? I tried a second time to get away from him, and that was when reality sunk in. I couldn't do it. All the strength I could muster was enough to make the man's hand budge. My arms were locked in place. I didn't think he was especially strong either. He was hardly built like Didier. And still, I couldn't move an inch. You've got a tongue like a boy, milady. But I know some people's fond of that these days. Can't say I mind myself. Let go! Had I always been this feeble? Were my arms truly so worthless I couldn't even escape this brute's grip? Why did I have to get stuck with this body? Now, just so we're clear, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm no monster. I promise you that. Then why are you holding me against the wall? Because I want a chance to try and woo you. Well, that's not going to work. This guy's probably really drunk, eh? I apologize if I made you uncomfortable back there. But the second I laid eyes on you, I knew you were a keeper. Then let go of me. But if I do that, you'll run away. That's my personal rule to never let go of anything I like. I don't like reading this. What the fuck is up with the Bollinger family having all the worst characters? Oh. I got no problem reading things. Like if I had to record something, like literature or whatever, I would read literally anything. You could never get me to not read it if it's for like a project or something like that. But it's just in the moment, in the spot when I don't know what's about to come fall before me, I do get uncomfortable hearing the words like that come out of my own mouth without going like, okay, I'm reading, I'm performing something. John Tron voice. I don't like. Yep. Edgy, you nailed it. It is a John Tron moment. Nope, I'm going. No, actually, thinking back to it, there's probably a bunch of moments in this game where, if you look at it in hindsight, you could probably go, that one did not age quite so well. Anyways. Your brother says you can't go outside, so if I set you loose now, I might never get a chance to catch you again. I wanted to vomit. Apparently taking my silence for approval, the man perked up and kept going. If you're not accustomed to being around men, then why not use this opportunity to get familiar? No. Not a half bad idea, if I say so myself. And I think we're going to get along quite well. Besides, I'm a minstrel. Spend time with me, and I'll write you all the songs you could possibly want. Oh, okay, that explains why you're an asshole. Get away from me. Ah, you really do have the most striking eyes. Makes me want to keep them all for myself. With a muse like that, I could write the most incredible songs you've ever heard. I said, get back, you creep. Huh, that's odd. That one's never failed me. The man brought his face just inches from mine and peered into my eyes. I could feel his hot, wine-stench breath against my... No. It gave me chills. I couldn't understand why this was happening to me. Panic and confusion had my heart racing. Go try your luck with someone else. I'm not interested. You will be soon enough, darling. Oh my God. You've never simply known a man's touch. He drew closer. He was already practically on top of me, but still he closed in. Closer and closer. The world faded out. I couldn't see anything. I could feel his rising body heat so near it made me nauseous. My eyes flung open, but there was nothing there. I could only feel. I couldn't move. My body wouldn't budge. In my mind, I kicked the man away, pulled my fist back and slammed it into his jaw, again and again and again until his face was unrecognizable. Again and again and again I beat him, but reality would have none of that. Michelle! Hey, what do you think you're doing? Well, what do you think, dude? You should have seen the fucking signs in there. Earlier. 3 seconds? 10 seconds? Longer? I had no idea how much time I had lost. But the next thing I knew, Georges had the man by the collar. I fell back against the wall, staring absent-mindedly as the two struggled. They traded blows and they traded insults. Before long, they had drawn a crowd. While they went at it, I distractedly drifted away, and I only had one place to go. I didn't even bother to light a candle. I just stared into the darkness. My heartbeat was maddeningly loud in my otherwise silent chambers. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Is this just tugging at my heartstrings more than the other times because of the freaking music in the background? Of course, the bard is a douche. Yep. Yeah. And I'm sorry if I'm like disrupting a lot with like making jokes and such. Yeah, it was the same thing with Giselle's parts of the story that were pretty extreme. It's not something it's not a it's a subject that I don't, it's a subject that I'm not too comfortable around. And I'm pretty sure that's understandable as to why. Oh, man. My heartbeat was maddeningly loud in my otherwise silent chambers. What had happened? What had he done to me? Why couldn't I do anything? And this is going to drive Michelle even further into wanting to be a man, because now she feels helpless as this. The last thing I wanted to do was cry. Tears would only serve to worsen my humiliation, only magnify how wretched I was, only make me more oh my fucking god. I actually genuinely do not know what that word means off the top of my head. Now I feel like an idiot. I bit down on my lip hard. I had no need for oh my god. You poor girl. Jesus Christ. Oh. Oh, you poor thing. Oh, somebody give this girl a hug. Oh my god. I dug my nails into my arms. I had no need for that trash in my body. All of this, every last bit of it. That was why I was the way I was. I didn't know how to put it into words. I didn't know how to express this boundless frustration within me. But after enough wordless groaning, a single word slipped from my lips, and it felt incredibly right. God damn it! I knew good and well a girl shouldn't be using such words. Even Didier and Georges would have gotten an earful from mother or father if they were caught saying that. Regardless. God damn it! It was the most fitting word I could come up with to represent even the smallest bit of my anger and loathing. I knew all I was doing was shifting the blame. That all it would accomplish was making me look pitiful. But I would take that over crying like a girl any day. I let loose a sigh that was halfway to being a scream, and started clawing wildly at my hair. I wanted to yank out every last damn strand. Oh my god, I just realized something. Morgana is even more fucking evil, because if Morgana is aware that that Michelle hates being a woman so much, every time Michelle reconstructed, she was a woman. Now, granted, it's because that's her base form and such. I get that, but still. Wow, yeah, Morgana's, boy, she just gets more and more vile. Depleted of vitality, force, or effectiveness. Exhausted. Thank you. Thank you very much. I didn't want it. I didn't want any of it. Any of this body. But in that case, what did I want from my body? Michelle? May I come in, Michelle? So, I suppose the question is, like, is this genuinely, at this point, would this be gender dysphoria? Or is she just, you know, gay? Or does she just, like, I guess I'm just trying to understand as to, like, you know, because she's, like, if she doesn't even know what she wants from her body, that's what immediately made me think, like, okay, is this gender dysphoria then? It was George's voice, slightly muffled through the door. Now, it can't, I mean, she seemed to have an attraction to the one woman, but, so it can't just be that, because, you know, she has the observation about her body. So yeah, she is just, man, she had a horrible roll of the dice. Not only is she born albino, she's got gender dysphoria, and seemingly, and it's like, so during this time period, it's like nothing that she is accepted. Good God. Oh, this game's so sad. Oh boy. The man who had invited those people into this house. I'd be lying if I said I didn't hold that against him. Michelle. But at the same time, he'd also come to my rescue. Besides, I hated myself the most. I despised myself for being so helpless. Oh, fuck. I'm sorry, Michelle. I didn't mean to hurt you. It's not locked. After a few moments of silence, Georgia stepped into my room. Your hair's a mess, Michelle. And my God, you're bleeding. That was when I first noticed a stinging sensation in my lower lip. A metallic taste spread through my mouth. I'd been biting it much harder than I'd realized, and there was a lot more blood than I expected. A trail of it was running down my chin, seconds from spilling onto my clothes when George just wiped it away. I'm really sorry, Michelle. He can be a real ass when he drinks. And he's a bit of a womanizer at that. I never expected he'd try to go after you, though. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. But, you know, there's a chance he may have, genuinely taken a liking to... dude. No. No. That just makes it worse. Sorry. Yeah, dude, no. You're right. You want to be with the man you like, I understand. He ran his hands through my hair as if trying to calm me down, at the same time cleaning up the mess I had made of it. It made me feel like I was some kind of plaything, a joke of a doll. I don't want to be with anyone. I would never, ever be comfortable with a man putting his hands on me like that. However, I'm sure you'll find someone eventually, Michelle. Someone that feels right for you. So that might actually also explain the standoffishness that we have of Michael at the mansion. I feel kind of awful for introducing him, but there are plenty of men in the world. You might not be interested now, but that'll change soon. It's part of growing up. You'd be best off forgetting today ever happened. I was dead certain, but apparently that wasn't good enough to convince him. Forgive me for adding the word good in it, I just realized it wasn't. The very idea that I might one day meet a man who I wanted to touch me made my skin crawl. Why? Why did I feel like this? Was I just not interested in men? No, if that were the case, I wouldn't admire my brother's bodies. I didn't have any aversion to men. In fact, I enjoyed spending time with my brothers far more than indulging my mother and her woman's world. Ugh. What I couldn't stand for was the particular look that men would sometimes give me. But why? Why did I not like that? I had no answer. My thoughts were only going in circles. Are you okay, Michelle? He peered down at me, his face twisted in concern. But I couldn't answer him. How was I supposed to articulate this? My anger? My frustration? My irritation? My fear? I had no confidence he would understand. Georges, how's Michelle? Amy's voice came from the doorway. Inexplicably, I felt like someone had struck their hand into my chest and now squeezing my heart. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, she has... she's gay and has gender dysphoria or something along those terms. Like I had just been caught in a compromising situation by the last person I wanted to see me. Oh yeah, she's doing good, aren't you? Yes, I'm fine. Glad to hear it. I was clearly lying, not even looking him in the eyes when I'd say that. But that seemed to have gone over George's head. Amy, on the other hand, "You don't look fine at all," she said, end of pain in her voice, and then entered the room. "Georges, Father was asking for you. He says it's time to bring the gathering to a close. You should get going. I'll stay here with her." "Oh, is he? All right then. Sounds good." When the sound of George's footsteps had faded into nothing, Amy took a seat beside me and, without warning, wrapped her arms around my shoulders. It's much better to talk to another girl at times like this. My heart leapt into my throat. But beyond the shock, I also found myself welcoming the warmth. It was pleasant, unlike the man's. That must have been terrifying. But don't worry, you're safe now. It wasn't really, no. No need to pretend, sweetie. If a man had me pinned against the wall, I'd be scared too. I mean it, I wasn't scared. I'm just disappointed in myself. All right, I believe you. You're a strong girl, Michelle. There aren't many who... pardon me. Aren't many who wouldn't have been scared. I'll be sure to give Georges a stern talking to about his choice in friends. Yeah, bare minimum. Something I learned today is that he's somewhat of a pushover. You're a lot more tenacious than I thought. As a woman in this world, you have to be. And if you're not, well, you'll figure it out soon enough, Michelle. Of course, even as strong as you are, I'm sure it'll be still difficult to forget what happened to you today. Georges had told me to forget about it as soon as possible, and Amy that I wouldn't be able to. Was it the difference in their individual perspectives, or was it the difference between the way men and women thought? I wasn't sure. It's a combination of both, I'd say. As my head rested against her breast, a bit of frustration slipped out. I couldn't move my arms at all. He didn't even seem all that strong. I couldn't believe that I was really so weak. That's just the way of the world, Michelle. Men are physically stronger than women, so you'll almost never overpower one. You're not any weaker than a normal girl. Don't blame yourself. No, it wasn't the consolation I had hoped for. Her words still filled me with warmth. I had exploited my own weakness to hear more of that soothing voice, and I alone knew how foolish I was in doing so. Oh, fuck. Ugh. Amy frequently visited my chambers. I didn't know if it was at Mother's request or of her own volition, but I prayed it was the latter. She was a very touchy-feely person, and she seemed to have a particular fondness for playing with my hair. Whenever her voice danced its way into my ears, it would wreak havoc inside me. Being enveloped in her scent after... being enveloped in her scent day after day. Okay. Maybe I'm getting tired. I'm sorry, guys. And I think I am going to draw to a close pretty soon. But we'll go for a few more minutes, but... Where's my water? There we go. Okay. Let's hope that helps for a little bit. Being enveloped in her scent day after day stoked that fire growing within me. I did my best to remain as straight-faced as possible, because the last thing I wanted was her catching on. Oh, God. Okay, no. Alright, but she's married. I'm just... I get it, but you can't do that, okay? I understood that the things I was feeling were untoward, to say the least. Your hair's so utterly enchanting. I've never seen hair so white before. I think having this color is much prettier. I'm sorry. I think having color is much prettier. Oh? Well, Georgia says white is the most difficult color to make with paint. There's no greater challenge than capturing the beauty of true white. Oh, this is when the painting's gonna be made, isn't it? Living with such a splendid example of color must have given him a very high standard of quality. Say, Michelle, maybe you could tell me about yourself today. I would love to get to know you better. Tell you about myself? Yeah, we could become even better friends if we found some mutual interests. I enjoy playing chess, and I consider myself quite good. Oh my, chess? I've never played. You're such a bright girl, Michelle. Would you like to try? I could teach you. Does that even mean... Oh, so, no. I think Michael told Giselle that he had taught himself to play... So, oh my gosh, no, this... So, no, Giselle is having more and more reason to be upset because it seems like a lot more was kept from her. And that's a little thing. That's a little thing. But it seems like if this continues, the more that we're going to learn about the past, maybe Michael isn't the most honest person. Would you like to try? I could teach you. I appreciate the offer, but I think I'll pass. I doubt I would be any good. Oh, okay. What else is there? Say, your favorite kind of flower fragrance? Color of gemstone? Are there any embroidery patterns you're particularly skilled at? Wrong question. Wrong question. I don't have any favorites, no. I'm not especially good with the needle either. No? Do you have shaky hands then? I wouldn't say that, no. I'm, fairly good with a knife, I think. A knife? Oh, like a kitchen knife. No, a sculpting knife. Sculpting? Is that really so strange? It is a bit unusual, I'd say. But George's does it all the time. His room is practically made of wood chips and charcoal and paint. George's is an artist. And a man. I just have to know, like, how unusual was it for women to be artists then? I genuinely don't know that bit of, like, medieval era. There's nothing unusual about him doing some sculpting. Why is it okay for him, but not me? Does being a girl really have to make that much of a difference? Well, why don't we practice embroidery together, Michelle? I get the feeling you've spent too much time with your brothers. But now, you have me. I'm sure it won't be long before you appreciate how much fun cooking and needlework can be. She sounds just like Mother. And she gives the same reasons, too. Because I'm a girl. But that's not an explanation. It's a vague generalization. That said, if I agree, I can spend more time with her. Yeah, see, now this is sad because now she's being dishonest with... No. Oh, God. This is sad! Oh, God! Why? Okay. Wonderful. We'll come up with some beautiful designs together. When you've made something you're proud of, you can give it to a boy who catches your eye. Or if you'd prefer, you can give it to your father or brother. I would like George's to have what I make, though. Maybe you should have recommended that she make something for herself. Oh, I've been wondering, did you and Georges meet at the royal court? Oh, heavens, no. I've never been to the court. One day, my father told me I was getting married. And the next day is when we first met. It happened that quickly? What? Are you worried about me, Michelle? Don't worry. I'm not displeased with the arrangement. In fact, I'm quite happy with it. Aristocratic marriages are almost always sudden. And as a woman, you get used to being a piece in their games. Ugh. Even though that, yeah, it makes sense for her to be saying it then, that just, I don't like that. I'm a very, very libertarian type of person. I am very, very much for people pursuing their own, interests, as long as it's not harming others. And it makes me very hurt to hear people say that, no matter what context or time it comes from. Was Michael lying about everything, or did their memory get altered when the change happened? No, Michael, he seemed to be quite aware of what Giselle discovered. No, I got the feeling that he was well aware. Or did the mind subconsciously alter everything so Michael would forget about being... No, I think... Now when he was reconstructed as the white-haired girl, or Michelle, I think then... that's where I don't know. I don't know if he knew or if he didn't know. That one, I'm not sure about yet. But it seems like once he had reconstructed himself, he, like fully, and when we're playing Michael in the game, it seems like he was very well aware. Or at least that's how I read it, especially when, he did not want Morgana revealing that bit of information to Giselle. And as a woman, you get used to being a piece in their games. But Georges, he's different. He's a gentleman. A gentleman? Him? You sound surprised. I believe hedonist suits him better. Oh, I quite disagree. I have complete faith he'll do good by me. I couldn't fathom where she found such confidence in him. Especially a man she had only just met. How could she trust him at all? She was nothing but a pawn, and she knew it. So maybe she was simply putting on an act. I had trouble believing her smile was anything but genuine, though. One day, you'll meet the right man for you, Michelle. And he won't be a drunk like the guy from earlier. He'll be a kind, hardworking, respectable man. I would rather not find anyone. I suppose this is all still too soon for you, huh? Say, how old are you, Michelle? 14. Oh, wow. I assumed you were younger. Do I really look that young? No hard feelings. You're just a little tiny, like a little doll. So small and slender. And look, not one bit of meat up here at all. Hey! She playfully grabbed me from behind and started prodding at my chest. As her delicate fingers slid across my skin, I found myself gripped by very indecent... Ooh, yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, nothing about Michelle is going to be accepted in this time period. Holy shit, what a... Oh my god, what a poor, poor girl. Every thump in my heart felt sinful. Yeah. Yeah, and then you add the religious... how important religion was then. And yeah, that's... Wow. She couldn't know. I couldn't let her. Everything I had been fighting to keep down came hurtling to the surface. You're so cold, you know that? She was touching me like it was nothing, caressing my hair. Was she this intimate with Georges? Or was it because I was a younger girl that she was so keen on putting her hands all over me? Before I understood what I was feeling, my body acted. It was pure, unfiltered impulse. My attempt to escape her grip. Twist around, only found my face inches from Amy's. Slowly gravitating closer, and I pressed my lips against the corner of her... Oh, no, that's... Oh, this is where shit hits the fan, I'll bet. This is where it goes down. Amy sat there, flabbergasted. I was equally aghast. I'm sorry. As I practically put some distance between us, I'm sure my face was red as an apple, though I didn't know it at the time. Well, that's certainly unexpected. I'm sorry. Did it make you uncomfortable touching you so much? Amy was smiling, though it looked forced. No, not at all. Then it must have startled you. I'm sorry. If I'd let you go sooner, we could have avoided this accident. What do you mean, accident? Kiss on the lips is... It wasn't an accident. Yeah, this is where... Yeah. Once everybody else hears about this is where it's all gonna hit... Shit's gonna hit the fan. Oh, yep, because... Now remember, Michael said that he was at the mansion since he was 17, and he was there for 10 years. So yeah, we're not too far from where that goes down. And we don't even know, in between those 3 years, that could be where he goes to the mansion. Okay. It wasn't, Amy. I seem to have confused you somewhat, Michelle. What? I know I can be very touchy-feely with you, and you took that to mean that you should do the same. No, you can't do that again, alright? If you want to kiss your friends, you do it on the cheek. Save the lips for the man you love. I should get going then. George starts getting cranky if I don't give him enough attention. Hold on, Amy. So long, Michelle. She wouldn't hear me out. Once Amy had fled my chambers, that was when I finally comprehended my own emotions, that she had stolen my heart. But Amy was George's fiancée. No, that wasn't the problem. My body was not meant for her love. Oh, God. Yeah, on a personal level, the biggest thing that it's like makes me go like, ooh, is like, you know, look, she's married, okay? Man. I woke in the middle of the night into pain in my joints. Not enough exercise, I guess. I tried bending and stretching my arms and legs, but it did nothing. So after powdering it for a bit, I decided to go for a late night walk to distract myself. Alright, we're wrapping it up very soon, too. So maybe after whatever chunk this is right here, we'll be done. As I approached the corridor adjacent to the courtyard, I heard a woman's voice. I'm still concerned about staying here. Amy's voice. Doing my best to remain perfectly quiet, I pressed myself up against the wall by the window and listened in on their conversation. I knew it was improper to eavesdrop, but the sound of her voice had me frozen in place. It's Michelle. I'm afraid I've confused her. Yep. This is where shit hits the fan. A tiny jolt ran down my spine, my muscles all tensing up at once. The sound of my name rising to her lips. but not in the way I would have liked. She kissed me. Well, almost, but how could I have guessed she thought of me that way? Mother told me she didn't have any female friends, and asked me to be one for her, which is why she had only been coming to me because Mother had asked her to. So she had only been coming to me because Mother had asked her to. I'd been afraid of that. Afraid that she wasn't there to be with me. That she had no fondness for me. And that my yearnings for her was one-sided. She kind of scares me. The way she looks at me. Always watching every little move I make. I'm sensitive to that sort of thing. I can tell what's going through Michelle's mind. I can tell. Okay. I can't. I managed to deflect it this time, but I should have never gotten friendly with her. She'd seen through me from day one. Understood what I was feeling even before I had. It's disgusting. Homosexuality. Homosexuality? Did I hear her right? Something inside of me crumbled, and with it came an intense sense of wrongness. There it was again. The overpowering discomfort. The fear coursing through my veins. That repulsion. That irritation. That apprehension. What on earth was I? Did I view Amy as a member of the same sex? Were the things I felt homosexual? I heard Amy sigh from beyond the window. Then the man beside her, who was confiding all in this, replied. She's still just a child. That voice. And one with undeveloped social skills besides. Understand what she's going through. Understand that she's going to do and say some inappropriate things. It's not uncommon for a child to mistake admiration for love. And I didn't know this until recently. But when she gets something into her head, she has a tendency to run it without thinking. It was not the man's I had assumed it was. The other day, she asked me to let her be a what are you doing? Okay, yeah, what are you doing here? I can't imagine how she thought that would end any other way. Why? It's not very often there are women other than Mother at the estate. Forgive me. I imagine she simply got nervous being around you and something got mixed up in her head. Why was Didier out there with her? I hope that's all it was. Amy, hadn't you told me? You thought Georges was a gentleman? So what were you doing? Getting so friendly with Didier. And Didier? Weren't you my ally? Or was that all an act like her? You were going to be a knight. So why were you out there with your brother's fiancée? I'm glad to have you here, so I hope you can figure something out to make it work. I'll do what I can, but... And I'm kind of reluctant to say this to you. Something has to change. As it is, she kind of grosses me out. Ugh. Now we're starting to get why... Now we're getting why Michael really does not trust or like much of anybody.
Oof, Michelle going for the jugular? Yeah, she has the big gay.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much just... No, that was pretty established by now. It's just... I don't know, it's like... It's interesting, because it's like, now we got a ton of characters like this nowadays, but, you know, not too many that are from this era. But I will say, like, because I really don't like how, like, a lot of characters like this are handled in modern media, but like this is actually, you know, this doesn't bug me at all. And the reason why is because it's relevant to the story, and it's, you know, it's a big deal, and it's treating it, you know, maturely, in my opinion, and, you know, it's keeping in mind of what the times were then. And I just, it's like, good God, like, it just break. It's genuinely, like, the writing is good because it's like, you definitely understand how awful Michelle feels. And good God, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if Giselle is going to accept Michael after that, but, you know, with everything that Michael's been through, and we haven't even gotten to any of the crazy stuff yet, I think. But it's like, you know, I sincerely hope that any of these freaking characters in this game get any kind of just, you know, reprieve. Because they've just not, this game is just not let off the gas at all. With just crushing everybody's soul. She grosses me out. So what? I'm some kind of sick, disgusting creature? All I had done was show feelings for her. I couldn't be George's or Didier. The needless piercing... I'm sorry. The needless piercing... Oh my God. The needles. The needles piercing me expanded. Both in size and number. Soon, I was being skewered by a dozen of them. And the heated sighs rising from the courtyard only served to make the pain worse. All I could do was cover my ears and run. Why? What were you doing out there, Didier? How am I gross, Amy? It's not real. It's all a bunch of lies. This entire house is nothing but a fraud. None of it was ever real. The family gatherings, Amy's smiles, Didier's kindness, George's... What about George's? Did he agree to the marriage knowing about them? What the hell are they thinking? You want to know who's really disgusting? God damn it. I will not cry. I will not cry. I can't let myself. Girls cry. Tears are for girls. Not for me. I bit down hard on my lip, wrapped myself in my sheets, and pressed my hands hard over my ears. Squeezed my eyes shut as tight as I could manage. Tried to get away from the things I had seen. Images of them embracing in the night threatened to float back to the surface, but I shook my head, casting them off. Praying I wouldn't have any nightmares. I drifted off to sleep. Yeah, because that's the biggest thing there. Is like, so your thing is disgusting, but oh my God, like you go on about like, you know, oh Michelle's disgusting, but then there you are out in the courtyard with your husband's brother. Oh my God. I don't know how you explain that one. I drifted off to sleep. Okay. I think we're going to call it here. Oh my God. Oh, well that's, no, we'll cut it there. I'm like, ooh, now I got to know more. Nope. We're going to cut it there. Oh my god. Holy shit. All right, so yeah, now hey, I I think when I was running up the stairs, I said I still feel like we're going to learn something more about Michael that feels big and wow. Oh my god. Yeah, he's no exception. He's got a tragic story as well, though I will say I think of everybody so far, I think Giselle and Morgana both have the more tragic one, but unfortunately, I don't think that the story is done beating on poor on poor Michelle here. Holy shit. Uh, is anything happy gonna come to these guys? Any of them? Oh my god. And that's the other thing too. Morgana could have kept her mouth shut. So she wanted this whole meltdown to happen. For what? I'm not sure. And so, oh my god. Okay, so, and Giselle rejected Michael right then and there. So, I'm curious how that's gonna go. Damn. Yeah, and now I'm nervous as to what's gonna happen going further because it's like, yeah, I got no clue what could happen because it could get way worse than this for Michelle, like big time. That's not even yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna end up happening. I mean, we know that that Michelle will come to contact with Morgana at some point. I wonder if that's when a deal gets struck. But I'm not sure. Like I don't know where it's gonna go from after that though, because once we figure out all of Michael's past here, what I guess the next thing is Michael's probably gonna have to confront Morgana, but then you got to figure out what is gonna go on with him and Giselle. But him and Giselle and Morgana, they're all dead. So yeah, Morgana does bring up a good point. It's like, what do you all do? Like, did once you leave the mansion, like, does your soul come to peace, or what happens? So once again, much like the last couple of sections, I genuinely do not know where this is gonna go. But at this point, it's like, I was kind of hoping, it was going to be a bit of a save the princess kind of thing there, and we were going to get, all happy and everything. But instead, no, it's like, hey, would you like a twist? And hey, would you like would you like another sad story with this twist? Oh my god. This is a good game. Like, this is a genuinely good game. Though I do have to wonder, like, because I was saying, like, well, Michael, like I was saying earlier, I thought that Michael was a good dude. And I think that he grew as a character, but, Michael has got to be able to, he's got to be able to speak the truth. If he, if he wants any kind of relationship with Giselle, or construct any type of relationship with anybody in the future, you can keep certain things from people, but not from people that you want to be, very close to, like that. That's one of those areas that does not work out that way. So, Anyways, thank you guys for popping by. Yeah, I'm looking forward to more. I don't know. I don't think I'll continue tomorrow, but we'll see how my day goes tomorrow. I just yeah, I took a few days off because one, my throat was killing me, but then two, I got completely swamped with work, so I had to deal with that. So we'll see if we do tomorrow. Can't promise it though. And let's see here. But if not, then probably aim for the weekend, Saturday or Sunday. But as always, I'll put the announcement on Minds, and then we'll go from there when the time is right. So, anyways, I hope that everybody's is having a fun time reading through this. I'm liking it. Oh my God, yeah. Oh boy. I'm just, I will be honest though. I am getting to the point where it's like, can we get one happy thing to happen? Because at some point, because right now I'm, yeah, man, it hurts. It hurts a lot. So anyways, guys, I hope you're taking it easy, and I hope that, you're staying safe and warm. And I also hope that, you're happy. And once again, if you're having a hard time finding that, I hope that you can find a way to be happy, because, everybody deserves to have that. So I'll catch you all next time. I appreciate you coming by, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.